still trying to catch my breath while wiping tears from my eyes. I looked out the window and noticed a tag on the stop sign. My mind pulled me back in, reminding me that graffiti had started creeping into every corner of our town, throughout the back alleys, the brick walls, abandoned buildings, and even on historical landmarks. It wasn't just kids marking their territory. It was a silent, glaring reminder that no one cared enough to clean it up. My dad, however, couldn't stand it. Without asking for permission, he took matters into his own hands. Armed with his cleaning supplies and a stubborn sense of duty, he roamed the island in the early mornings, scrubbing paint off walls and picking up trash. For almost a year, he worked in silence, never seeking praise or validation. He just wanted the place he called home to feel clean again, to scrub away the tags others dared to call art, and restore the island to the way he believed it should be. My dad never cared if anyone noticed him out there with a bucket and brush. He simply believed that someone had to do it. Maybe it was for the beauty that belongs to everyone. Maybe he wanted the earth itself to feel cared for, to feel just a little cleaner than it was yesterday. I always speculated it was connected to something way deeper. When he was a boy, someone had written all over his body against his will. He never told me much detail, only vague pieces, as if the details were too heavy to share. But I knew it had marked him with great shame. Maybe that's why graffiti felt so personal to him. Every spray-painted wall was a reminder of what it felt like to be defaced, to carry scars that weren't yours. So he scrubbed, he painted, he cleaned, as if each wall he restored was a piece of himself, healing him openly, loudly, and boldly. Then one morning, everything changed. My dad walked into his usual coffee shop, ready for his triple espresso, when a stack of newspapers by the counter caught his eye. On the front page was a picture of him walking through the park with a bucket and brush in hand. The article called him the Graffiti Man, praising his efforts to clean up the island, to beautify the community, and to inspire change. It was the first time anyone had recognized his work, and it was being publicly acknowledged to our entire world. The city took notice, and soon politicians came calling, appointing him as the leader of the community's graffiti removal task force. It was an official job title for a job he'd been doing all on his own. He began to really toot his own horn. His pride swelled with every bit of recognition. But my mom always kept him grounded. She'd tease him by saying, "Your dad's head is so big, he's about to float away," playfully gesturing herself holding a pin and popping his ego. Her playful jabs were a reminder to stay humble. He had every reason to be proud, noticing how he became a pillar of the community, even though he already was known by everyone. It seemed more often now that complete strangers would say, "Your dad's my best friend." I used to laugh whenever they would claim him as their best friend. But that's just how people feel around him. Maybe because he is simply larger than life. He is this tall, handsome, and effortlessly charming man with his quirky, magnetic smile and deep empathy that makes you feel seen and valued. He is everyone's friend, and his voice is unmistakable. It doesn't just fill a room, it commands attention and draws people in. This presence was clear and firm, so firm that when he caught a tagger, there was no escaping. Instead of turning them in, he recruited them to scrub graffiti with him. It wasn't meant to be a punishment, but a lesson in responsibility. Because if you make a mess, you help clean it up. The program didn't just keep kids busy. It actually started changing the town. You could feel it. There was less chaos in the streets, more pride showing up in small ways. But this did not stop them. This did not stop the graffiti. But this did not stop the graffiti. There was still tagging crews everybody knew about. NFM was the most popular. They were everywhere. My dad despised them. Every time I take down one of these tags, a new one appears, he'd say, like he was fighting a ghost. The one tag that haunted him the most, retard NFM. He'd squint at it, questioning, is this tagger really calling himself a retard? You see, the thing about graffiti is that it's an art form. It isn't just about a name or a crew. It is about history, rebellion, community, culture. It is influenced by the beats of hip hop flowing into paint, the movement of breakdancers frozen in spray, the voice of the streets claiming space when the world tried to silence it. Every tag, every mural, every piece was a conversation, a way to stake presence, to leave energy behind, to make some sort of impact on the world. Graffiti is a statement, a dare, an invitation to see the world differently, to notice what you'd normally walk past without giving a second glance to. For artists like my brother, graffiti is deeply personal and meaningful form of expression. It's a unique handwriting that marks a space with a piece of their soul, making their voice feel visible and asserting their identity. It's an act of rebellion and freedom, unconfined by the establishment, and a way to communicate a message directly to the public. It is freedom with a marker or a can of spray paint in his hand. I noticed how talented my brother was, so I knew it could never just be vandalism. It was art, expression, a way to make the world more colorful. He has always thrived wherever his creativity could run free. And this was no different. My brother wasn't just doodling. He was learning and picking up new tricks from the same kids our dad was trying to reform. But he wasn't just a student. As he slowly befriended each tagger, he influenced them just as much, finding common ground in art and exchanging the secrets of the trade. Somewhere along the way, he started recruiting them for NFM. You see, my brother created NFM long before our dad's mission to clean the streets. NFM represented the rules of the streets. There is a rhythm of lettering, the balance of color, how to make a wall speak, how to leave a mark that couldn't be ignored. Every stroke had intention. Every curve of a letter carried weight. And that name, retard NFM, what did it mean? NFM stands for Never Find Me. As a tagger, the first rule is to never get caught. So maybe retard NFM was a dare, a challenge he set for himself, or was he just challenging the authorities at will? Honestly, I'm not sure of his motives, or if he was calling our dad a retard, taunting him, saying, "You're never going to find me." Or maybe it wasn't about defiance at all, not some big FU. Maybe it was about taking a word that the world uses as an insult to someone and twisting it into power, seemingly foolish to some, maybe even silly, but also bold. It forced people to react, to notice, to remember. It was fearless, ironic, playful, and a little shocking. A mark that challenged authority while honoring the legacy of graffiti. Leaving something alive, a beautiful gift, really. A way of carving his own path, laughing at himself along the way, as if playing a secret game of hide and seek with the world. It seemed to end the day my dad caught him tagging a dumpster, and he went ballistic. He didn't see it as art. He saw it as a failure to teach him the value of community pride and keeping the world clean. He saw it as a lesson ignored, a failure to respect property, a wall left effaced and dirty when it should have been clean. He shouted. He demanded that my brother clean it up. And in that clash, creation collided with responsibility. Wildness met order. I just stood there watching it, all smolder and tension between them. With a stubborn, half-hearted resistance, my brother went through the motions, scrubbing here, wiping there. But every moment felt forced, as if obedience itself was an act against his free will. To him, the streets weren't ruined. They were improved, decorated. Even as he obeyed, every fiber of him longed for the art to remain, already envisioning the next piece that would transform the ordinary into something unforgettable. My brother's punishment dragged on for what seemed like weeks, but as they worked side by side, something unexpected took root. I witnessed this new idea sparked by our dad catching a glimpse of the beautiful, untamed world of graffiti. What began as discipline slowly became a lesson in turning a negative into a positive. The solution needed to support creativity while giving a creative outlet that didn't involve defacing property. So my dad began this project with the local schools, where students painted the rusty old trash bins scattered around town and turned them into community art. My dad collected the bins and delivered them to art teachers, giving each one a new purpose. I remember the excitement in class during that time, how proud I felt to be a part of it. Watching those neglected eyesores transform into vibrant canvases for student expression. The trash barrels, once symbols of vandalism, became colorful landmarks, works of art created by the very kids who once tagged the streets. And at the heart of it all was my dad, inspired in part by his own kid, who had unknowingly sparked the change, teaching him to see the world through a different lens, to notice the beauty in art, to work with the greater intention, and to bring opposing sides closer to a common ground. I can't help but think about how these two humans, who even share the same name, yet they see the world so differently. It always felt wild to me. One wants the world kept pure and the other wants it created. They're both uniquely wonderful, but often unable to see through each other's eyes. And when that happens, standing on the outside, your own perspective starts to stretch, connecting like a web. I observed like a spider watching two bugs argue over the same strands. It might seem trivial, but this was their pattern, repeating again and again. Their battles mirrored how I often feel like both a rain cloud and sunshine, needing both to get through the day. It reminded me of our bonds, not just as family, but as souls. The agreements that we made to experience life together, teaching each other through the good, the bad, and everything in between. It showed me the importance of focusing on what connects us. Like the art on the barrels, our connections are what make everything more beautiful. And maybe that's why my brother's tag, "Never Find Me," still echoes in my mind. On the streets, it wasn't some grand metaphor. It was a rule, a challenge, a dare not to get caught. But when I think back on those clashes between creation and order, I can't help but hear it another way. Not as this literal truth of what he meant, but as the truth of what it stirred in me, showing me how we hide pieces of ourselves, not just from others, but even within our own families, and how those hidden parts of ourselves can teach us a kind of boldness, the courage to show up, to take risks, and to leave our mark, even when we're afraid others might not see the beauty in it.